Om Prakritim Paramam Abhayam Varadam Nararupadharam Janatapaharam Sharanagata Sevakas Toshakarim Pranamami Param Jananim Jagatam Vishayam Kushamam Parihrichasada Charanyaburu Hamrita Shanti Sudam Pipabringamano Bhavarogaharam Pranamami Param Jananim Jagatam Jayanti Mangala Kali, Bhadra Kali Kapalini, Durga Kshama Shivedatri, Swaha Swadha Namostute. Jayanarayani Namostute, Jayanarayani Namostute, Jayanarayani Namostute. O Mother, supreme in human form, granter of boons and of bliss, distress of our souls removest thou, and givest us contentment and peace. Thy children who offer all to thee, do thou makest them content and free. O great Mother of the worlds, be our salutations ever unto thee. Renounce my mind to be the sense flowers of this earth. Drink instead the nectar of Mother's lotus feet. Enjoy thus in peace and in mirth. Then, in charm of delusion shalt thou cease to be. O great Mother of the worlds, be our salutations ever unto thee. Om peace, peace, peace. Om Sahana, Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karvo Vahai, Tejasvi Navati Tamastu Ma Vidvishovahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May Brahman, the reality, protect us. May Brahman sustain us. May Brahman illumine our thinking process. May we not find fault with each other, with the world, or with the teachings. And may what we study be a source of inspiration to us eternally. Om peace, peace, peace. May peace be unto us, may peace be unto all. Om Hari Om. You are joining us here if you're live streaming, or if you've come and driven across the big island in your automobile here in Waimea in Hawaii at the SRV Associations. And we are meeting for a fourth class on meeting Mother Kali. As John said, that Christ repeated to him, no man hath seen God with these eyes. So when we take up a subject like Mother Kali and we aspire to try and meet her face to face, we find out it's much the same way, that the senses fall back. There are beautiful Sanskrit quotes in that, even in the Upanishads, about how the mind and senses and the voice falls back from Mother Kali, unable to discern her or comprehend her. And same is true, of course, of Brahman. And in Vedanta here, which is the Vedanta of Ramakrishna, the Vedanta of Sri Sharda Devi, the Vedanta of Swami Vivekananda, which he brought here to us in the West in 1893. I wish 1983, but it was 1893. And also the Vedanta in the Upanishads, and what we study here, in those terms, we find that Brahman and Shakti are ever one. It's a statement shared by both Vedanta and Tantra, which are these two great streams that have been flowing in India or out of India since time immemorial. Actually, before time kicked in, they say, because it's Sanatana Dharma. Sri Ramakrishna said that these little upstarts of religious movements and everything will last for a little while, and then they'll disappear like little creeks, not making it to the ocean, just going back underground, back into unmanifested Prakriti, into the unseen. But the Sanatana Dharma of the ancient rishis, I quote him, is eternal and will be here forever. So that's calling it to mind. And actually we were just speaking that very thing in the hallway with the students here before we started this class, when I arrived here at the SRV ashrama on the Big Island, how spiritual life really, we find, if we want to simplify the process a little bit of understanding it, is all about samskaras and obstacles. That is, samskaras are mental impressions in the mind that you've created, not just since you drew your first birth in the cradle here, you see, but also in past lifetimes. In that cradle that lies in the hospital of unmanifested prakriti and back into previous lifetimes, or the ward, as they call it. Hopefully you were born in a sane ward and not in a ward of insanity, which seems to be the case in the Kali Yuga on Earth in this day and age. So many people have lost their peace, lost their sense of divine, and lost contact with their own true nature. That's the premise upon which these great Indian philosophies proceed, is that if you need saving, then these will come to the fore. Mother herself will bring those. And when you're meeting teachers and teachings that have to do with dharma, or darshanas, the word dharma and darshana have the same first syllable, then what you're doing is meeting Mother Kali. She's sending either messengers or prophets or avatars or teachers to you in your time of need, and they'll bring these teachings that have been written down in the scriptures. As we know, they weren't written down for a long time. They were memorized by children straight from the mouth of the father and the mother, who had memorized them and were living in the Dharma. So that's an ideal for us as householders in the West, that is, beings who own things, who think they own things anyway, homes and cars and so forth, possessions. It's a great ideal, is to try and work the Dharma into your daily life, which is what SRV has been trying to do since 1980s with people here in the West particularly. And so it's about these samskaras you have for it. Like if you're not attracted to a particular scripture or a particular practice, or you're just beginning, you feel you're just beginning, then that's because of a samskara or a barrier to a samskara. Quite often you'll find that once you find the right teacher and the right scripture, the right way of saying things that appeals to you and penetrates into your thinking process, as we just chanted, that the barrier to that particular samskara will go away, and the samskara of having savored the teachings in a previous lifetime will come back to you. So it's like Vivekananda saying, education is the manifestation of knowledge already in mankind. So you go to get an education to get knowledge, but that knowledge is already in you when you went to get your education. And religion is the manifestation of the divinity already in mankind. So if you went and followed a religion and you went looking for it, you did it without knowing that the divinity was already yours. You were divine. And that's the right footing, the right orientation, like the Eightfold Path of Lord Buddha, or the proper way to start Advaitically in Vedanta is to take note of this peaceful, unchanging, eternal, all-pervasive substratum that is that peace that passes understanding. And where is it if it isn't in yourself? That is, you can project it out and go looking for it, and then you have a journey. It's called rebirth in embodiment and so forth. Or you can just stop. Maybe try and meet Mother Kali on her own ground, which is immovable, motionless, all-pervasive, static. Pick a word and see her smile, as it were, you see, as you look inside to meet her. Like our founder Lexington said, her beautiful smile is the prolonged lightning flash of full enlightenment. It's a line that he coined, you see, out of English, to match a line in a Bengali song, some of which I sing you at each class, little lines of these songs that are so profound. So you want to look inside and meet her on her own ground, and of course you wouldn't, as another song in India says, you wouldn't move one step outside your own door. You see, that would take one step away from the porch of your house. That's, oh mind, why are you wondering about this earth? This is the first song that Swami Vivekananda sang to Sri Ramakrishna when they met in that auspicious lifetime, the 1800s, which founded all of this and started all of this rolling for us. So, oh mind, you're just a wayfarer in this strange world. None of this belongs to you. It's philosophically a little bit ironic that all of this does belong to you, but it's not something that can be possessed. That is, it came out of you, so it didn't come out of anything else. It came out of the own mental process of hundreds and thousands and millions of souls and their mental processes. See, their dreams. Mass collective mental dreaming is the way I coined that phrase, you see. It's all mass collective mental dreaming that fashions the worlds. But the material for the worlds were all there already inside of us, inside of unmanifested nature, and came out into manifested nature form. That's from the formless to the form. And there was a substratum upon which that was all happening, and that's Brahman, or Mother Kali, this underlying substratum, which is pure conscious awareness, which is timeless, deathless consciousness. So that would be meeting her on her own ground, the best way of meeting her. But for those of us who haven't got the wherewithal yet, or haven't spent enough time removing the obstacles to these samskaras of spirituality, because they're in us, all knowledge lies within you, kings of heaven are within you. This is the same way of saying this fact that all the seers realize once they get enlightenment. They're on the trail of it early, and they're thinking, oh, maybe it is that all of this is really within, and they're thinking that all the time as they're practicing. Sometimes these beings are practicing in front of humanity when they're already perfect. We think that, oh, they're growing and so forth, but their growth was over lifetimes ago. And so they have to come here, and if they came here and just showed you the glory of everything without them ever lifting a finger to do any practice in front of you, you wouldn't believe them, you see. Say it was too good to be true, or why does God favor that soul and not the others? Some you hurl into the world of suffering. Others you raise to the highest state of awareness. Who can estimate or understand your decrees, your divine decrees, O Mother? Is another song of India. Let's say in their songs, you see, they're writing profound things that they've realized after lifetimes of meditation on these teachings. In any given lifetime, that's that auspicious lifetime, all will come to the fore, and you won't have to say anymore, the knowledge that was within me. You'll just realize that knowledge is yours eternally. In that sense, it all belongs to you, because objects are just your own knowledge put into forms. Otherwise, how could knowledge of forms have come? You'd have to go into the evolutionary theory, and even then you'd go back to a formless state, before the chordates, and far beyond anything that had a spine or even a cell. Even a complete cell, you'd have to go back so far. So you're going back in formlessness to formlessness, no matter which route you take. Evolution and its so-called origin, Big Bang, or involution and Om, the Word, as Christ was teaching his disciples. Long after India had already taught its disciples about the Word. AUM, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, this mass collective mental dream that's going on. So the provisions will all be there for it, and ultimately we're going to want to say those provisions are provided by her, but it's not like she wants you to get into this mess of embodiment. And we see you have Holy Mother herself saying, birth and death are very painful, may you never have to experience them again. What's she saying here to us, you see? You should probably, as even the seers do, take a deep breath when you even have the thought that I might take a body, you see, from your pristine, pure, blissful, formless self, where that thought originated, you see, and caused you to make your first step, that primal thought. They call that root ignorance. If that thought occurs to you, it's coming from root ignorance. You see. Why would I want to embody? I'm so peaceful and blissful and perfect here, you see, in the oneness with absolute reality. Not two-ness. So you can't even say oneness because that oneness limits it. So there are these obstacles then to these positive impressions in us. So what I'm saying here is sort of against the whole sin and damnation kind of way of thinking. For one, it's an untenable way of thinking. Basically, nothing is real here, so neither merit nor demerit is going to be real either. Neither digression or growth is going to be real. There's only one reality, and that's Brahman, and you're it. It's this cosmic game of tag we're playing all the time. Hide and seek, you see. So that's kind of like obscuration, right? And it's kind of like activity to try and find what the problem is. And then it's like balance, which do you receive after you find the goal of what you're seeking, right? That's tamas, rajas, and sattva, or what Shankara is calling here avarana, vikshepa, and prakasha. So this chart is where we left off when we finished class last Sunday. And like I said, we hardly do a breath, and here we are back together again. It's the Zen way of thinking, you see, is that when you stand up from your meditation pillow and go and do your day's work and you come back to the meditation pillow, you should think that nothing happened because actually nothing did. Some crazy people got elected into office and some other wars happened and people died and babies were born and it's all going on constantly and it's all Maya, but the main point was you getting beyond it all and seeing your true self and living in your true self as long as you're in the body. It's about the best you can hope for, is just to keep your peace of mind. And then Mother Kali likes people with peace of mind, you see. She only wars wrathfully against egos. These are also a whole collection of songs in India about how she wars with these egocentric beings, these asuras, with nails like winnowing hooks and cruel faces, and you see, evil beings, see, under the evil influence. They're Atman too, unchanged by the evil that they're doing. See. That's why Christ and others couldn't see a sinner. They just see a person who got off the path and corrected. See. They couldn't look at a person and say, oh, you're a sinner, you're going to eternal damnation. Because not only is that not a good way to approach people if you want them to better themselves, but it's also not the truth. There's only one being in existence, and that's Brahman, or Almighty Father, or Tathagata or Pragyaparam, or Allah, however you want to call it in your particular tradition. And there's no divisions in that, and it's eternally perfect. To call it perfect would be to do it in insult, you see, make it injustice. It would rise up and say, what do you mean I'm perfect? That suggests that maybe I was once imperfect. See, so you got to be very careful with that formless aspect of reality. Just know it and be it. See, and no resistance. So anyway, these obstacles that are in the way, that are resisting positive samskars in you that enjoyed worship in a past lifetime, that enjoyed the path of sadhana, doing spiritual practices, austerities. I had two young men write me yesterday, what kind of austerity can I do for this? You see, they're not even monks. Monks will take to austerity, like, well, this is the way, you see. Tapas, they call it. But others too are finding out, even in the West, because these were Western young men, finding out about the power that's in austerity, the power of doing without, the power of getting rid of, renunciation, you see. Renounce my mind be the sense flowers of this earth. That's what I just chanted, right, to open the class. Swami Abhedananda's beautiful hymn called Sri Sharda Ashtakam, Prakritim Paramam. So renounce my mind be, that's this kind of be, the sense flowers of this earth. Drink instead the nectar of Mother's lotus feet. So you have to find Mother's lotus feet. You're thinking of meeting Mother Kali? Try starting at her feet. Because her feet are down here in the swamp. You see, there's a sunlight of non-dual awareness where her head is, and as you move down or out from these worlds, you'll find the realm of the rishis are at her third eye. The realm of the gods and goddesses are her throat and heart, and then you'll find the ancestors and find the humans. These are all her body. There's another song I'm quoting from India right now, that the hairs on her head are like the trees of this world. You're walking around the hairs on her head when you're moving through the trees. You have to kind of take this cosmic look at things, expand it all out, and that'll increase your faith. And that is a kind of austerity, to try and widen your thinking process like that. The limited mind, try and stretch it. May our mind expand in its ability to know Brahman, one of the peace chants states. So this all bridges this breath we took when we met last Sunday and come together again this Sunday, is that we were talking about Prakasha Shakti, because we'd looked at some of the aspects, the first two aspects, how these are barriers or problems. Mainly because most people are lost in them, so if they were just to move through them naturally, watching the mind, they call it, because the mind is what's suffering the gunas, not your Atman, not your true self. Your true self never suffers change. See, if you could be one with your true self, you would be like these great souls, like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and just be like a child and with all three eyes open. And whenever you did close an eye, it would be these two. You see. And you'd keep the third open. Most people live without any of the three open. It's another song in India. Oh, walking around with your two eyes open, you remain entirely blind, O mind. It's a line out of a song. So people are walking around with their eyes open and they're entirely blind to the truth, the way things truly are. See, they're not seeing with a... doesn't mean you have to develop some sort of strange third eye and get thrown in a circus, considered an oddity. But this inner eye is how you can prove John wrong. See, you do see God with this eye. Not with these eyes maybe, but with this eye, this other eye you can see it, and you can hear his voice with this inner ear, or her voice. So we look to this teaching of Prakasha Shakti as being very rare, because you don't find it mentioned very often. You find, because people are so engaged in tamas, that's lethargy, slothfulness, heaviness, weightiness, sleep, or they're engaged in this frenetic activity, and they go back and forth between these two, and actually the sort of their life is based on waking and sleeping, or waking and dreaming and sleeping. Some beings don't even get deep sleep, the perfection that comes from deep sleep these days. They'll have to take a pill, you see, Samanex, go into Samanex Samadhi or something like that. But you want a no-dose solution here. It doesn't come from a pill. You want the yoga of insomnia to visit you, see, and so that you're in an ever-awake state. So whatever the mind does in terms of the three gunas, and whatever states pass through your mind, you'll know them to be apparent only, and not the reality. And you've made one big, huge step back into yourself when you realize this. A man has come to me from a land that never sleeps. Now all my dreams have become radiant meditations. So it's interesting, this line of this song. You see, my teacher used to quote it a lot. But now all my dreams have become radiant meditations. Before I had a dream, then a couple nights later I had the very same dream. But in one night dream I saw it just as a dream. The next dream it was a meditation. Next time I saw that very same dream. You had recurring dreams before in your life? Those might take some examination from a higher state of awareness. You might try and call up the situation and conditions of that dream that keeps coming back to you once a year or once every 10 years. See, and because it's a place you've been as a soul. could be on earth, it could be in the kingdoms of heaven within you. But if you go back and visit it and open it up, you'll find some secrets out about this transmigration process that consciousness seems to go through, or lower consciousness, the shifting of awareness, we call it, from state to state. And most people think, well, yeah, I can give you that out here. My mind does change out here, but they don't connect it as usual to the changes that are going on inside. A direct connection. That the outer senses are based in inner senses, which you're using in a dream state. So that same dream that you thought was just an imbecility of the mind was because your mind was in a very tamasic state when you had it. But if that same dream recurs to you again and you're in a sattvic state, all of a sudden it's a radiant line, a land, you see. And all of a sudden it's remarkable. See, that's all whatever the condition your mind is in. And this also pertains to every act and thought you have in your waking state. How your mind